Shalane Flanagan, Gordon, she's through marathon 5 of 6 in her quest to run sub 3 this fall numerous times. Now, she did this one in Sauvie Island, outside of Portland, in 2:35:14. This was the virtual Tokyo Marathon because Tokyo got canceled. Now, I thought, hey, since it's going to be virtual anyway, you go out there and chill and you do a 250 something, save your legs for New York. But I think I'm starting to learn from this whole project, Gordon, that like mid 230s on a flat-ish course is basically Shalane Flanagan's default setting unless she's running back-to-back marathons. Like she could run a marathon every week for a really long time and it would default to 235 is my conclusion.
Yeah. She gave herself a lot of cushion looking back on this little challenge of being sub 3 in every marathon because she hasn't even come close to like 250. Like running 235 on the 5th one when you have no competition, it's just like, come on, you clearly were lowballing yourself. Like you clearly should have been. I'm going to do everything under 245 at least. Hey, 235 solo. I'm not solo. Did she have someone with her?
Yeah, she had some pacers. Courtney Frericks ran some miles with her. Some other folks were running some miles with her. It is flat course. It was a perfect setup, I think, to run this time. But again, she's got 4 other marathons in her legs this fall. Impressive.
Okay, so we are how many days out? New York is what, 2 weeks away?
A little more than 2 weeks. I think we're about 19 days away from New York.
19 days away. Do we need Shalane Flanagan to be in the elite field now? Like, are we like Shalane? Hey, you've been like fooling with us here with these 230s and telling us like, hey, no, I'm retired. I'm just here to do this fun little sub 3 challenge. Well, you're not running 259s. You're running out there running 230s. So it's the last one. Get on the elite field line and just go for broke and see if you can like finish top 10 in the elite field. That's what I want to see.
Here's what I worry about with her. I want to see her do that. Here's what I worry about though. It's like you said, over 2 weeks till her last one. Will she get rusty in that time? Should she do a tune-up half marathon in between then and now just to make sure things don't get stale? I'm worried about that. Maybe she'll get like that, the delayed onset muscle syndrome thing, how, 2 days is like worse than the day after. Maybe the soreness is just going to compound for the next 18 days to the point where she gets the New York City Marathon starting line and isn't able to run 10-minute miles. No, I think you're absolutely right. I called this after about the second or third one. Hey, there's this big gap before that last one. The time in New York is going to be tougher to come by. So it makes sense. Just, hey, get in there and compete and see what you can do. She obviously belongs in the elite field. Not even throw out her past accomplishments. If just some random person we had never heard of did this fall, you'd wonder, hey, what can they do with actually some rest going into it? And you'd want to see the result. And that's how I feel about Shalane Flanagan.
Well, do you think she herself is kind of having second thoughts on her ability after doing this? Because clearly her thoughts were sub 3, and now that she's almost done, she's like, wow, I'm more fit than I thought I was. Do you think there's any chance, hear me out, we get a Shalane Flanagan comeback in the spring of 2022 at the Boston Marathon? She's always said Boston is the great, the one that got away.
Mm-hmm.
Is this her way of telling herself, hey, what if I actually put in legit training, go all in on 2022? What do you think? Do you think this could be a sign for Shalane out of retirement? One last hurrah?
It's funny because you say, usually use the phrase, they're dipping their toe in the water to see if they want to make a comeback. She didn't dip her toe in the water. She's done a cannonball. like 5 separate times, and she's about to do another one here to see if she likes it. I think I think she's in great shape right now, obviously, just to do this. So I think she's training at a pretty high level. Is she training at the same level she was when she was a pro? Probably not. Uh, I would love to see it. I think if the Olympic try if next year was an Olympic year, would it be crazy to see her in the Olympic trials? No, absolutely not. Like, where's she gonna? Can you pull up the New York City Marathon Elite field here? You have that handy?
Yeah.
Try to find this just to see where she would. Here we go. So, because we know Sisson's out, we know obviously Seidel is going to be solid in there, but then past that for the U.S., let's see who you got here. He's got a lot. You got
They're,
Stephanie Bruce,
they listed
two
it
27. This
alphabetically.
alpha. Yeah, I know, I know. I'm gonna scroll through them. So I'm just thinking of names that jump out of like, oh, this person could definitely beat her. Obviously, Bruce could beat her. She's run sub 230. Linden could obviously beat her. But I'm scrolling down. Seidel, obviously. I said Sisson is out. Kellen Taylor could obviously beat her. Thweet. Tuliamuk scratched as well, too, I believe. So, you know, she could definitely mess around and end up top 3 or 4 in here. I think even better. Here's the thing. This is the ultimate I'm just playing with house money setup here. Because it's not as if she's just doing this like in a vacuum. She's retired from the sport. She has zero pressure on her, and it's her 6th marathon, and she set a goal of breaking 3 hours. So if she's on the elite starting line, she goes in there with about as little pressure as you could possibly have going into a marathon. And I bet that feels pretty good for her.
Yeah, she could go in there, be in it with the top women through the half point, and then fall apart and run like a 240, and
Yeah.
no one will think
Who
anything of
cares?
it. They'll be like, "Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was wild." Like,
Yeah.
how
She
does it
did
feel
it.
to run 6
She did
marathons?
it.
So,
Yeah.
whereas if someone else is in the elite field for the first half and then runs a 240, everyone will be like, "Oh, kind of had a bad day." There's like all this kind of
Yeah.
more negative, like it wasn't. But none of that for her. So yeah, you're right. There's zero kind of negativity to failure in a way
Mhm.
because she's going to run sub 3. We know that because clearly she
Yeah.
can do that backwards.
I'm 100% pro comeback for everybody. I wanted Bolt to come back. I was always reading way too much into his Instagram posts. I wanted Ashton Eaton to come back. I want everybody to come back if they want to come back. So if this is the way back, it's been worth it. If it's not, it's still been a really fun experiment to watch. Because we were legitimately debating, hey, can she do this? Because we looked at those back-to-back marathons. Obviously, she was going to hit the first one, and then you're like, all right, well, how's she going to do with the Boston Chicago double there? And she did it with ease, and now she's still ripping them off. So she's durable, she's fast. I want to see it in New York. I'm really excited about that storyline just in general. I mean, you look at the whole elite field. Obviously they got some absolute stars in there, like Jep Chirchir, the gold medalist, and they have a lot of sub 220 women there. So the expectation obviously would not be to win the race by any means. I should have said Sally Kipyego is in there as well too. Sally Kipyego on the women's side, so she's obviously capable of beating Flanagan as well too. But yeah, top 5 woman for the U.S. is definitely possible in a good field there.